I'm Llewellyn Mnguni. I'm 35 years old. I come from Mafikeng, Northwest Province. I was born there and went to school at National School of Arts and started my kind of journey as a dancer, and then started learning about choreography, which is something I was very interested in telling stories. So right after that, I thought to myself that I wasn't ready really for the workforce to really become professional, and I went to University of Cape Town to do my dance teacher's degree. And from then on, after I graduated, then I started working for dance companies and working as a freelance dancer. What influenced me as a dancer is because my mother was a dancer, was a Latin and ballroom dancer, and she was just really great at it. And then for me, it was just a natural thing for me because I was always dancing in the corridors at home. And, for me, it just felt like a natural thing to do. I was always dancing around in the corridors. I was always just moving and trying to emulate what I see on television. And then I started doing Latin and ballroom dance classes at Mabana in Mafikeng. And it really just resonated with me and was something that was natural as an expression for me. And from then on, I discovered different dance forms. And then I did a contemporary dance class with Losha Cooper, and I fell in love with contemporary dance and dance theater and expressing myself and with my body in a different way. I definitely dance with my mom, especially if she's having guests over, a bride, and then we'd always dance was something natural for us, but she didn't pursue it for as a career because back in the day dance was not taken seriously as well. Her mother was can you get a real job? So then she went into agriculture, which is really she's great at, but I literally took it very far. And so it was also a challenge. In the family, for me, the only artist in the family, and everyone was always questioning, are you serious about doing this? Is this really going to make money? Especially with me going to National School of Arts and then taking it even further to go to university. They were always we're not really sure about this. And so I think when I started becoming a professional and I've started working and traveling around the world, and they were oh my God, this is really a career. And for me, I always wanted to prove to them that this is a job and this is my passion, and and those two can be both. They can coexist. For me specifically, I really discovered that I was a choreographer only when I was in National School of Arts, because I was oh my gosh, there's something so interesting about telling a story and not just being the subject or being the dancer. And so with the school, they really kind of shape you as an artist. And they help you to learn about choreography and how to tell stories, and other choreographers who have done different stories. And for me, what was really important for me was to tell stories about queer people. You really don't see a lot of stories about queer people and queer femme people, trans people, lesbians, especially in the context of being in South Africa, where we are hated and we are beaten up, and there's just a lot of violence that is impounded on the bodies of trans people, of gay people, of queer people. So I think it's very important for me to continue to tell those stories and also to document them, so that for the next generation that, they can see that this has happened. Which stories do I resonate with? I resonate with definitely my story and how I came up, and how I was brought up and come from a small town from Mafikeng, and, there's a lot of violence that has happened to me, and, I try and use dance as just a vessel for the healing, and also to show other people that this is the reality. It's not always about us having hate or being or having violence. Also, I think it's beautiful to show that queer people are successful, they can exist in life, and they can live a beautiful life. This year has been the craziest year for me because I have been performing my new work, which is called Dark Matter, which focuses on the stories of trans people and queer people and how their lives are endangered. It's almost like being an endangered species. And I think it's so important for me to show this show and also say the names of the people that we've lost, that have been killed, who are trans and who are queer. And I've been able to travel the show in Germany, in Berlin. I've been able to travel it in Antwerp, in Belgium. And I've been able to perform it in Johannesburg and also in Cape Town. So I really, and this has happened this year, which is so insane for me, to be able to be given the opportunity to tell my story and to also tell other queer people's stories. I really want to take it further and travel it around the world, and to just have even more dancers perform it, because it's more like a solo project, but I really want to have other queer dancers like be involved in the show. Yeah, so I've done that, and coming into the Nkoli project, it's just like a love letter to queer people. So it's very important for me to be a part of this historic moment, because Simon Nkoli was the best queer activist who was also, political as well, and he was fearless and he was vulnerable. And I think it's so important for us to shine a light on somebody that started the first queer march in Johannesburg, one of the first in Africa. So people who are younger need to know who their predecessors are, who they who they need to look up to, and to also continue to fight for injustice and to fight against injustice, and to know that this is what has happened, and it also continues to happen in most countries. Look, if we really think about Africa, this is something that happens in many countries. So this is a beautiful moment for young people to see the legacy that Simon Nkoli has created. The show is just an amalgamation of Vogue, which is a dance style. It's a ball, it's a celebration. There's amazing costumes, there's the most beautiful singers, there's amazing dancers, there's lip syncing as well. It is just an opera that you've never seen before, because operas usually you think about them and especially a lot of black people don't really go and watch opera, and young people don't go and watch opera. And I think this is a mixture of So You Think You Can Dance, RuPaul's Drag Race, so it's an explosion of queerness and celebration and of just self-love and identity. So with the show, as much as it's entertaining and amazing and beautiful with costumes, and it's sparkly and there's, this whole celebration, it is really telling a true story about his struggles, what he went through. The show is really also an entertaining show with costumes and with just sparkles and beautiful singing and dancing. But it's also very important that we are telling a story about his vulnerabilities, about when he went to jail, and about his love life, and about really just the vulnerability that he had, and his relationship with his mother, and how that was kind of a tug of war, especially coming out to your family is not an easy thing, and it wasn't an easy thing for him, but also coming out to the country, because I feel like also for queer people we keep coming out. It's never an ending story. So it really shows the true life and his struggles and everything that happened to him. In terms of the Tepe Magugu show, where we performed it in Nyrox, was really about folklore and about old stories and all of these things that we experience, like witchery and all of these things that we know as black people, which are spiritual. And for me, the way that I approached it, for me, when I choreograph, I have this kind of inkling of lightness and darkness, and I think it's important to have both. So I approached the Tepe Magugu storyline in that way, in more kind of mystical and dark. I think it's important to tell both stories.